So we're live now. Oh, you did the air guns, but you know what I noticed? There's a little sign up in the corner that says live.
Yeah, you can look at that if you want to, or you could watch the air guns. One of them is way cooler than the other. Yeah, I think it's
you're absolutely right. All right, well, let's jump into our interview then. Joining us this week, we have Richard Bone. Some of you may remember Richard from a fundraiser we did for him a couple of months back. Richard is a longtime CCFR member and resident of Alberta. Richard, welcome back to Slamfire Radio.
Thank you very much.
I must say, sir, you are sounding much better than the last time we spoke.
Oh, yeah, it's been almost a year since then. So, yeah, there's been quite a bit of improvement.
Amazing. So do you want to maybe give an update for the listeners who are aware of what happened? Maybe what was your illness and where you're at now?
Yeah, sure. Year and a half ago spring, and we found a lump in my neck in an ongoing battle with cancers. And this one turned out to be what's called, oops, I just lost it. Anyway, it was a very difficult to find cancer, and they had to go in and essentially reconstruct all of the left side of my throat and parts of my tongue taken out. And they gave me the nice Colombian necktie and everything, and lots of nerve damage and lots of healing and recovery. And the Slamfire guys here got together with a couple of sponsors and did a fundraising event. And we did a radio show. Well, they had me on as a guest. And at the time, it was a little more difficult to speak than it is now. But through lots of exercise with the throat and neck muscles and some good therapies and hard work, it's coming along pretty good.
Yeah, we couldn't even wait for you to be healed before we got you on. We're really considerate like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, again, thank you for joining us this week. We're not here to talk about your illness or your recovery. We're here to talk about an event that you just went to recently that was CCFR related. So why don't we go with the who, what, when, where, and why. You were there, and what was this event?
The event was a town hall to bring Canadian firearms owners together. This was spurred on by MP Glenn Motts out of Medicine Hat, and he and Tracy Wilson of the CCFR were in communication, and CCFR through Tracy agreed and said that we would do everything we could to find facilities for these events across the country that he's doing a tour, bringing information about C71 and other pertinent topics that kind of go hand in hand with it, such as C75, etc. So Tracy put a shout out to all of us here in Alberta with, I think we had 5 days to put this thing together. And the Calgary Shooting Center, Jeff graciously offered up his teaching range, and we put it together in a matter of a few hours. The guys came together and we had rentals for PA equipment and tables and chairs and everything in place. The guys from the Calgary area really stepped up and made it happen in a hurry. So we had the event. Michelle Rempel was scheduled to attend as well and speak with Mr. Motts, but unfortunately she had some conflicts and had to make a difficult choice and go on to her other scheduled event. So,
you know, it must have been important because she is a strong advocate for firearms owners all across Canada and a fan of the Calgary Shooting Center. She's been in there plenty of times. So I'm sure it was a decision she didn't take lightly, choosing to not be able to attend.
Oh, absolutely. I am sure it wasn't anything minor.
No.
But, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, okay. So who was all there?
In attendance, it was Glenn Motts, MP for Medicine Hat. Mm-hmm. We had a bunch of our Alberta field officers. Who was it? So if I don't get everyone's names, I apologize now. But we had Connor Ware, Ralph, sorry, I can't remember your last name. George McGee, he drove in from BC.
Wow.
And
Doug
Rattenbush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you're going to forget somebody, Richard. It goes without saying.
Yeah.
It's just how these things go.
Yeah. The guys pulled together and few of us picked up items, and then for the next morning, other guys were dropping them off. So it came off like a very well-oiled machine on fairly short notice for it. And a big part of that is because Jeff stepped up at the Calgary Shooting Center there and gave us the facility to use, so we had at least a base starting point. So
yeah, color me surprised. Jeff did something nice for someone else.
Yeah,
I'm shocked.
And the staff there, I got to tell you, they're very accommodating and very helpful. So very happy to have worked with them.
So what was the format? What took place? Was it a series of keynote speeches, or was the media present? What exactly went down?
I didn't really notice any media in the room. There was one fella at the back, and he did actually ask rather pointed questions, and he was taking a lot of notes. I can't remember if he was actually media affiliated or just doing his own thing. But Glenn Motz had about half an hour or so of prepared dialogue, and then he went into question and answer period where there was a lot of concerns voiced, and he answered them quite well and quite straightforward. And he draws from 35 years of police experience in Medicine Hat. He retired as an inspector at the end of it all. So he's coming from being on the street, a crime situation, and just what kind of things these criminals are willing to do that isn't us, you know.
So given that this was a town hall format of meeting, am I correct in assuming that the public was invited to attend to listen to MP Motz speak?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I should have mentioned. We've been blasting out through all our social media outlets that this was an event that we wanted everyone to come to, whether they were a firearms owner or not. So especially not. I prefer to speak about Canadian firearms issues with people who don't own firearms and don't necessarily understand what our laws actually are, because through the media, you don't get the full story. You're getting one side of the story, and a lot of people just aren't aware. So we ended up, there was a lot of people obviously were firearms owners with their concerns, but there were a few that weren't firearms owners. And we had, I think it was, the final count was 75 attendees. So it turned out pretty good for a short notice thing.
Excellent. Excellent. And so what do you think is going to come about this event? What can we expect to have happen from it, do you think?
Well, my hope is for it to snowball into larger rooms being needed and a lot more people attending. Like I broadcast it live through the CCFR's main page there, so a lot of people saw it, and a lot of people were wishing they had been able to make it, but on such short notice they weren't able to change their plans, et cetera, et cetera. But as I understand, this was the first town hall of its nature hosted by Mr. Motz. And he's planning on doing Edmonton and all the majors across the country. And hopefully we can get this to snowball and really get the word out on a face-to-face basis as it was.
Yeah, that was my my next question, that this, I understood as well, that this was the first one. But the whole idea behind these town hall meetings is that they are going to spread and be held in other cities. Mr. Motz is going to do other town halls at other cities within Alberta. Are you aware if CCFR has been in contact with any other MPs to have this happen in other jurisdictions across Canada?
I think it's going to be on a event by event basis as far as other MPs coming out and joining Mr. Motz, because he's the one spearheading this. He's taking this file on based on truths. He's not a PAL holder currently. He's just a concerned guy. He's going for his PAL, I guess. He's taking his course and so on. But he sees the inequities in all of this, and he's coming from a police background. He knows that this isn't right.
So Mr. Motz, an MP, former police officer, is holding town hall meetings to voice his opinion on things like C-71 and C-75, and what other kind of things did he speak about?
That was the whole main gist of it.
Well, when questions were, can you think back to any of the more interesting questions that he had to handle?
Well, there are questions that would pertain to some of the penalties and so on that are being lightened with the introduction of C-75. And there was a conversation. He reminded us back in the 80s when Calgary was having all kinds of gang issues, and he was directly involved with that, being in a jurisdiction neighboring Calgary. And the Calgary mayor and citizens, nobody was crying out for any kind of silly gun bans. They were cracking down on gangs. They had the cops. He mentioned that the chief of police at the time went in and said, "No more sitting behind your desk. Get out and walk the streets and say hello to the citizens and visitors of Calgary. Let them know that we're here." And he said that it turned everything around right quick.
Yeah, I mean, a police presence just sends a signal, a message to the residents in a community that, hey, we're here to help, we're here to patrol, we're here to police, and you never know when or where you're going to see us. I'm working in a small town now. It's this town I grew up in. Now I don't live there. I work there, and I see crime on the rise in that town because the socioeconomic situation has just completely gone back to well before the golden age of the town, which was the 80s, when the town had a lot of industry, had its own police force. The town has since lost everything, including its police force. So about once a month, the police roll into town to collect some speeding tickets, and they just roll into town, stop people, find them, and then leave again. It's almost like, hey, we just want to remind you that we're still around, guys. This isn't completely lawless yet. But for the most part, the hoodlums in the town know that police response is at least 25 minutes away.
Yeah, and that's where we're lucky in my town. We've got 7,000 people, but we've got a pretty good number of RCMP. We have a detachment right here in town, but even they're spread thin because of the geographical area they have to cover. You can take a half-hour drive out of town, but the nearest officer might be in the other way. So now we're looking at 45 minutes in some cases.
Yeah.
So
all the attitude of Calgary in the 80s to get out there and contact the citizens and make your presence known is a step in the right direction. Unlike Toronto, where he says we need to ban handguns in the city, and the sports shooters speak up and say, wait a second, I'm a resident of Toronto. I'm a law-abiding gun owner. I compete in competition. The mayor's answer was, leave.
Yeah, that's just shameful. It really is.
It is shameful. It's disgusting. The segment of the population that isn't committing crime but owns guns is told to leave. So they leave. How is that going to affect the crime rates in Toronto when they're not the ones committing the crimes? The criminals are, and the criminals are using illegal guns that over 50% of the time are found to be smuggled in from the United States. So let's get rid of the people who aren't doing anything and see what that does. Yeah. Look at England. It didn't work over there. I'm not sure why they think it's going to work over here. Yeah, violence. They didn't get rid of the violent, or they didn't. Yeah, they didn't. England didn't get rid of its violence. It got rid of one of the tools, and then they switched to swords, and then they switched to knives, and they still think throwing away knives will be the solution. It just,
yeah, exactly.
Man, it's going to be hard to have those tomato and mayo sandwiches without cutting a knife.
Everybody will have a spork, just like in jail.
So some of those wood things, like you get in like a one of the. Tell us more about maybe about the event, or kind of the reception. Like how many people did you guys get out there?
George counted 74 people in the
that's pretty good. That's a lot of people to stuff into that range, eh?
Yeah, it was pretty
only.
It was pretty warm. We had about a dozen people standing up at the back, and I mean, we had the table for Mr. Mott set up about 10 yards away from the backdrop there, 10 or 12 yards from the backdrop. And we had the air moving system on because it was just getting really warm in there. So it was pretty interesting to be at that end of the range talking as opposed to the other end shooting.
Yeah, yeah, that would be unusual. Very good. Well, Richard, I'm going to thank you for coming on tonight to giving us a brief update on this important event. And if you're involved in any of the other ones in the Alberta area, please reach out to us and let us know. And I'd love to have you back for another recap, see how things went.
Absolutely. I'm hoping to find out about an Edmonton event coming up. I haven't heard any dates yet. I've heard that there is going to be one. So hopefully I'm able to make it up and at least be witness to it and welcome people in and so on in the CCFR way.
There's just one thing. If you were in Edmonton, can you do me a favor? Make sure you buy Adriel a sandwich.
Buy him a sandwich.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's just
a Subway sandwich.
Subway sandwich. Well, I told him last year I owed him a beer, so we'll get him a beer and a sandwich.
Sandwich.
Yeah, he'll take a sandwich before a beer.
Okay.
More of a sandwich guy.
Rightfully so. He's confused. That's good. That's good.
Okay, you send me some Boulevard bucks and I'll buy that for him.
Yeah. That's the kind of sandwich you're gonna get, Adriel. The kind that's bought with Bolivar bucks.
Oof.
Yeah.
5-finger discounts, Subway sandwich. Hey, those are hard to do.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Richard. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Cool.
Trevor, I'm going to relocate my my Wi-Fi signal in here is no bueno.
Yeah, I kind of got that impression there when you were gone. You abandoned me, left me alone with Richard.
I was here, but I turned off my video and audio and on the hope that I could cut in where I needed to. But I am going to relocate, so just give me a minute. You're still live, so people are watching you yawn and play on your phone, but that's okay.
Check my Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, it'll be like voyeurism, like Big Brother kind of thing, like watching you like play on your phone and scratch your head. And do
I never thought of it that way. They have like a live feed into my
Ooh.
home. They can just see. It's
Ooh.
like Big Brother Slamfire. Weird.
Okay, give me a minute.
All right. Well, let me check the old Facebook and see if there's anybody watching, and I can answer questions. Well, it's just us. Just us. Just an intimate little gathering of you and me. There's no Matthew. There's no Adriel. There's no Kelly. I can answer questions. Oh, turn my volume down here. There we go. All right. Luke says, howdy, folks. Stacy Penland, the Appleseed Princess, says hi. Bill Wilson, nice ovation acoustic. Oh, cool. He's talking about his guitar. Kelly, hey, everyone. Kelly here. Stacy, Greg, and I are on the road driving to Saskatoon. We're watching and we're watching. Uh-oh, that means I got to behave myself. So we made an effort to watch from the car, and all we get to do is watch Trevor. Yeah, Stacy, come on, man. Don't be like that. Bill says, are PMags limited to 5 in Canada? Bill, any 30-round magazine is pinned to 5. So any AR-15 magazine, the magazine designed for that rifle, is pinned to 5. The law says this: any semi-automatic center fire long gun is restricted to 5 rounds. So the magazine for said firearm is restricted to 5 rounds. Now there are ways around it for things like the AR-15 because of the pistol version. But if you have a Ruger Mini 14, that's it. There's nobody else making a pistol version of that gun or a 50 caliber version for that gun. So that gun's always going to be 5 rounds. The VZ858, the VZ58, all of these things, unless now there's and those 2 rifles chambered in 7.62 by 39 are going to be limited to 5 rounds. Semi-automatic shotguns are limited to, if they're tubular magazine, they're limited to 5 rounds of the largest chambering. So if it's a 3.5-inch chambering, they're limited to 5 rounds of 3.5. If it's a box fed magazine, if it's a magazine, let me try this again. Words are hard. If it's a semi-automatic box fed 12 gauge shotgun, then the box magazine is limited to 5 rounds. So it's not just a PMag thing. It's not a brand name thing. Is it a rifle magazine? And if it's a rifle magazine, it's 5 rounds. Luke says Facebook page. I didn't know you guys streamed on Facebook. I'm going off YouTube. Do we stream on Facebook?
No.
I don't think we stream on Facebook, Luke.
But you said you're going on Facebook for questions.
Oh, did I? Well, I'm dyslexic, so I meant YouTube.
Ah, there we go.
Bill, stop trying to confuse Trevor. You know that already. Yeah, Bill does know that already. He's been around enough Canucks to know about the silliness that is our capacity loss. Anyway, all right, Adriel.
Sweet. Yeah, let's get going. Let's leave like a big long air gap here so it's super easy for me to find later. Hello and welcome to Slamfire Radio. This is episode 267 for August 9th, 2018. I'm one of your hosts, Adriel Frosty Michaud.
I'm another one of your hosts, Trevor the Furlot. Furlot? Is that how that works?
I think that's how it works. Yeah.
All right, then.
Let's see. Kelly, unfortunately, won't be able to make to the show today. Really unfortunate news. Her friend's pet goldfish died, and she had to be she was the aunt of the goldfish, and
Right.
she was the pallbearer in the funeral. So unfortunately, she can't make it out today.
We understand she was very attached to Goldie, and on behalf of all the hosts here and the listeners, we'd like to send our deepest condolences and sympathies to you, Kelly, for your loss of Goldie.
Yeah. Did you get the flowers? Did you get the flowers and sign the card, Trevor?
I signed the card. It wasn't flowers; it was a fruit basket, so I ate it. You know me.
Okay. Yeah.
I love me some fruit baskets.
Acceptable losses on that one. The card will make it through anyways.
Yeah. And as for Matthew and Brian, they just they said that they hate you and you suck.
Yeah, that's been a reoccurring thing with them.
Yeah. I spoke with Matthew today, and things are progressing well in the house hunt. So as soon as he gets a house bought and gets an internet connection, we'll have him back on a regular basis.
Cool. He's got his tags and everything ready to go on the hunt. It's hunting season for houses.
It is.
Hopefully he doesn't go on an armed hike. All right.
Not to purchase a house. That would be awkward and illegal.
Just look at him. All right. What we did in guns this week is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Center, Canada's premier firearms retailer. They have the Swiss Precision Arms MB5T muzzle brake in 223 and 300 blackout. And they have 338 coming soon. It's 239. And Trevor, is that the one you got? Do you have one of those?
What is it?
The MB5T muzzle brake from Calgary Shooting Center? Or you got a different one?
MB5T, you say?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Precision Arms. If it's not, that's okay. We'll just
that is exactly what I have.
Oh, there we go.
Swiss Precision Arms, the SPA. It's so funny because they use Google Translate to write the instructions. It's hilarious. I will
Why even put instructions on there? It's a muzzle brake. I
know, right? But I'm going to Facebook you the photo of the instructions. They're hilarious. And then maybe you can post them on the show or something.
Mm-hmm. We'll put them in the for the post for today.
Yeah. So yeah, this muzzle brake I'm going to talk about here in just a few minutes.
Cool. As a few minutes is in like now, or do you want a little bit of time before we get into what you didn't get?
No, if I'm up, I'll go right now.
Giver.
All right, as I'm writing it down. So we had SummerSlam, and it was good. We had, by the time the main match was over, 154 competitors shot the match, and I have to tell you, as a competitor, I finished third in my division. So this is my third top 3 finish in a SummerSlam match, which is pretty good because there's a lot of competitors. It's a national level match. I think there was 22 in my division.
Mm-hmm.
But you can, of course, go to PractiScore and search SummerSlam and SummerSlam 12, and you can see all the results for how everybody did in all the divisions and categories.
But I'm confused. Who actually posts the scores to PractiScore? Is that you?
I do, yeah. What do you mean?
Oh, You're always top 3, hey?
Zip it. I wasn't. I said this is my 3rd time finishing in the top 3. There have been 12 SummerSlams.
Okay.
I've only attended 6 of them. I started my first SummerSlam would have been 2011. So you math that out as you see fit. Anyway, it was awesome. It was awesome. We got all the construction done before I left to go on vacation. And while I was gone on vacation, Alain and his team of guys, Patrick and a few other guys went out there. Muffin was out there, and Trevor and Snuffleupagus and Phil. They all went out. Anyway, they completely rebuilt the house. There's lots of video floating around of the house stage at SummerSlam by competitors and myself on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. It's all over the place. So you design a stage, right? And you walk it and you walk it, and then you have somebody else walk it. And then the match starts and somebody sees something that you didn't see. People were hanging out a window, Adriel. It was ridiculous. They figured out a way to eliminate shooting positions, and it wasn't actually all that beneficial because, like, one of the shooting positions, when you came out from underneath the house, downstairs, if you will, there's a popper. But if you ran up to hit the popper and crowd the fault line, you saw 3 targets in the back of the house that were originally intended to be taken at the bottom of the stairs, but they were hard leaning shots. And then he went upstairs and there was a stomp pad. You stepped on that, a trapdoor opened, revealing some targets that you shot through the floor of the house. And there was a port. Now, originally, Pat's tall, right? So Pat built the port so high that only Pat could shoot through it. Poor little people would not be able to shoot through this port. So I was like, that's not going to work. We have to cut the port bigger. Well, in doing so, now you could see a target that was supposed to be under the house. And this had been a problem in a previous match, and I caught it and I fixed it by putting up a wall. Anyway, so here's what they were in. You're supposed to shoot through the port at a popper, which activated a swinger, and then 3 static targets. And then you ran over to the stairs, and there was 2 partials at the top of the stairs that you shot before running down the stairs. You ran down the stairs, you shot those 3 in the back I just discussed that you're originally supposed to take from the back, and then go underneath the house and shoot one through a port. They eliminated going downstairs altogether. They would come up the stairs, stop, shoot the 2 at the other staircase going downstairs from the top of the staircase. Again, there were partials, and they were about 8 yards away. So for some people, not such a good idea. And then they ran over, hit the stomp pad, went to the railing, shot the targets under the stomp pad, and then leaned out the port, shot the swinger, shot the popper, shot the swinger, shot the 3 static targets, and then hard lean one hand, shot the one under the deck or under the house. I ran it clean, like the way it was intended to be, sort of, you know. I mean, there's no such thing as the intent of the stage. It's freestyle, figure it out. And if you're smarter than the match director, good for you. And a lot of these guys were smarter than those of us who put the house together. But I was still like one of the fastest runs on the house, except for when Alex Burdett got up there. Alex won production and literally won every stage that he shot. He's a machine. He's not Canadian champion for nothing. So anyway, that was really cool. But just the overall quality of the match, we had practice score, which everybody does now, but then we also had those little point of sale printers. So the scorekeeper had the printer hooked on their belt and the tablet, and he hit approve, and the printer printed off a receipt, so the competitor had a copy of their score. We just laid out the range differently for our vendors area. We had X Metal over in one corner, and then we had CCFR, major match sponsor, on hand with a booth, and we had DC Armory on hand with a booth. And then we took a bunch of picnic tables, put them under an army tent, and basically made like a cafeteria eating area. And we put our scoreboard up right there. And we never usually publish the day one results. We just didn't have the technology before. So after day one, I came home and I printed them all. I got a wireless Bluetooth printer, and it was giving me trouble because it wasn't working on my Wi-Fi hub. And then I discovered this little Matt Lorette. Shout out to Matt Lorette. He figured this thing out. There's a Wi-Fi Direct. You don't even need a hub. The printer will talk directly to your device. That's amazing. So he got my phone hooked up to the printer, started printing results, and we were just constantly on the morning of day 2 before shooting started. We had all the results from day 1 posted. At lunchtime, when people would stop and eat, they could go over and check out the vendors. They could go shoot at XML targets. They could check out the results. Just nothing went wrong. We had one calibration call, one for the whole match. We had a whole stage of steel poppers, Adriel. 24 of them. Was it 24? 16? I think it was 16. Yeah, it was 16. Yeah. Anyway, not one calibration call to that stage. The one calibration call that I had to go to, it was a legitimate equipment malfunction. The popper got hung up on the hook. So had I shot that popper, it would not have been a fair test of the popper's calibration. So it was deemed a range equipment malfunction, and the shooter was ordered to reshoot. And that was it. We had no arbitrations. We had a few DQs. Matthew was the CRO for the host stage, and the host stage was a complicated, very technical stage. And he stopped 3 people at least, and disqualified them for breaking the 90 rule. So that was unfortunate, but it is what it is. So yeah, it was just awesome. The banquet was great. Tracy's speech at the banquet was great. They gave her a standing ovation. The food was amazing. And normally it rains on SummerSlam. Well, it's been raining every day since SummerSlam. Even Mother Nature was on our side this time, which is fantastic. So, and then after SummerSlam, I built my SLR during the Monday. Yeah, it was shipped on Saturday. I got it Monday, and Matthew and I had shot the pre-match. Then we put the SLR together, and I've shot it every day since SummerSlam has been over. And working out things like magazines. I remember, I don't know if last week when I talked about it, I said that the gun was kind of picky about mags. So I just went through all of my mags, numbered them, tried them all. I had 3 criteria. Would the mag seat on a closed bolt? Would the bolt lock back on an empty mag? And would the mag drop free? So I went through all my magazines, and everyone that did that, all of my LAR mags, my aluminum Beowulf mags, my P mags, all of those got then labeled with SLR on them, so I know that they work in the SLR. There's a very tight mag well in the SLR. That's all there is to it. It's a very tight mag well. It's not an AR-15. It doesn't have an AR-15 mag well. But that being said, there's still mags out there that do what they're supposed to. The ATRS mags are very tight. They don't drop free. I would have to remove material, quite a bit of material from them. I don't think I'm going to bother. I'll leave those for my actual AR-15s. That's it. Yeah, I mean, all those mags do all 3 of those things. And I've put, it's got to be, I thought it was just north of 500, but it's more like close to 600 rounds in the gun since Monday. And today is Thursday, so I've been going out and shooting the heck out of this thing.
You've spent $300 in ammo so far.
Yeah, about that. But I mean, it was well worth it. And might I add, not a single malfunction in the gun. There's been magazine issues until they got sorted. They're all sorted now, but I've had no failures to feed, no failures to eject, anything like that. And then the muzzle brake that you just mentioned in our What We're Doing This Week in Guns sponsorship segment, that was sent to me by the Calgary Shooting Center. And I got to tell you, it works. I've also been making lots of SLR videos, just general shooting videos. And then I made... no,
those have been cool. You've been posting a bunch of stuff up on Facebook, right?
Facebook and Slamfire Instagram and my own personal Instagram. And today I did a takedown video to demonstrate how the rifle comes apart, and I was doing it wrong. So for those that are watching, there are 2 screws there in the receiver, a little one and a big one. The little one does not need to be touched. That was my mistake. I thought that was a locking screw. I thought it screwed down on top of the takedown screw to prevent the takedown screw from backing out. That's not what it's there for at all. It's actually just a retaining screw. You put an Allen key into the takedown screw and loosen it up, and it's captured in place. So you're not going to lose it.
Keeps the other one from falling out, right?
That's all it does. Yep. I was mistaken about that initially. I was loosening that first and then taking out the takedown screw. You don't take out the takedown screw. You just unscrew the takedown screw, and then the 2 halves come apart. So I made a pretty quick and dirty video demonstrating that today. And then I did a video talking about this muzzle brake. Now, this muzzle brake is extremely well made. The machining is very, very nice. It has 8 ports. Well, it has more than 8 ports. It has 4 ports per side, and then 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom. And the recoil impulses is different. There's no muzzle rise, but it actually pushes the muzzle to the right. So you literally watch your reticle go on a flat horizontal line to the right and then back, to the right and then back. So if you're a dipper, if you dip low left, this might be the muzzle brake for you. I suspect I may have to rotate it a little bit to get that to stop happening. It's on a crush washer, so I can, try a 16th to the left or 16th to the right and see what that does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so from Switzerland, and just incredibly well made, and it works, and it's not heavy either. Like, I've got my 3-gun comp. Hold on, this is worth comparing, Adriel. Stand by. I think you've seen my 3-gun comp, haven't you?
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, I'll show it for the listeners who are watching, and then we can describe them both.
All right. Trevor is walking over to grab the other comp there. Other rifle.
And
what a beast.
I actually weighed the 2 rifles. So now I know what they weigh. The SLR weighs 7.5 pounds. My STI rifle with the Stag barrel and Samson Evolution 15-inch handguard weighs 8.5 pounds. So
both
I was saying,
with optics or without?
Ready to go. Yep.
7.5 is excellent.
What's that?
7.5 is excellent. It's probably
right?
the barrel.
Yeah, all the savings comes from the top end of the SLR build. If you look here, you can see these rifles both have their. I'm going to double check, make sure that both of their stocks are fully extended. Okay, so the SLR was not fully extended. All right. So both these stocks are fully extended. And look how much longer my restricted rifle is compared to my non-restricted rifle.
What's the barrel length difference between those two?
The Stag barrel is 18-inch. The SLR barrel is 18.6.
Yeah, they look pretty much the same where the barrel is, but that comp is super long.
Yeah. The comp on the Stag rifle is 4 inches. That's 4 inches of comp. It's actually not an IPSC legal comp. It's too big.
Nope, not 3-gun legal. Well, legal, it just puts you in open, right?
Yeah. So if you look at the comps here, the comp on my STI is Benny Hill, and it's stainless and has 3 ports, and they go small to large as they approach the muzzle of the barrel. It's just ridiculous, though, how flat this gun shoots. Ridiculous. So, yeah, that's the initial review. It's nicely made, and the gun shoots flat, kicks to the right a little bit. So I might check and see how it fits, or how it's positioned on the barrel, and see if there's any difference in that. So, but there's been lots of videos posted about my SLR and this comp, and me doing mag dumps and stuff like that, and just showing the function of the rifle and how it works perfectly and does what it's supposed to do. Let's see, what else have I been doing? Last night we had our monthly gun club meeting, and the principal of the Dalhousie Regional High School, who was the recipient of this year's podcast charity shoot, came to collect the check. And so we had a little check presentation there. Unfortunately, media did not want to attend. Here's what they actually said, both the French and English newspaper. I Facebooked the guy up here in Campbellton for the Campbellton Tribune, and I said, hey, his name's Trevor McNally. I'm calling him out. I said, hey, Trevor, podcast, gun club, we raised $7,000 for the Dalhousie Regional High School breakfast program. Thought maybe you would like to attend a meeting for the check presentation. So his reply is, well, you go ahead and write it up, send it to me. So I thought that was a little weird. I wrote up all the details and sent it to him. And then he replied back and said, okay, take a picture and send it to me. I said, you want me to take the picture? And he said, yeah, that's what you want, isn't it? LOL. And I replied, said, silly me. I didn't realize that there were 3 degrees of separation these days between journalists and their stories. He goes, oh, we don't attend simple check presentations. All right. Okay. Well, guess what? Pound sand. We'll go somewhere else. So we contacted the French newspaper. French newspaper said the exact same thing. I'm sorry. This is a one-horse town, and the horse is dead. There's nothing going on here. You have nothing to do. There's nothing important happening. You can't come out and cover a story about a group of volunteers raising $7,000 for a breakfast program.
Yeah, that's silly. I mean, for a small town should be covering exactly that kind of thing, right?
Exactly, because what else are you going to cover? So screw those guys.
Maybe he was being serious about you just like doing his job for him and writing the article and putting the image. maybe they're that short-staffed.
I don't know, man. That seems lame.
Yeah, but it's a small town newspaper. Maybe they just needed like the whole thing ready to rock and roll, and they would have just published it.
Well, he didn't say short-staffed. He said we don't show up for simple. That's what we called it, simple check presentations. So
gotta
whatever.
Conserve the gas, the fuel.
I'm salty about it.
Cause their costs to go too high.
Yeah. So, and then tomorrow, I know it's what we did, not what we're going to do, but whatever. Tomorrow I leave for the Canadian IPSC National Championships, where I will be shooting the pre-match in one day, and then working the main match as a dedicated chief range officer.
Where are the nationals this year?
They are at the Selkirk Fish and Game Club in Manitoba. I'm not sure if I got the name of the club correctly, but they are in Selkirk, Manitoba. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I have what do I have left to do for my range master? I gotta get some mentoring done, and that should be it. I will have completed all of the requirements for in order to become a IPSC range master, which is kind of cool because I think I'll be the only range master in Atlantic Canada that doesn't wear bifocals.
Well, there's something to be said about getting young blood in the program.
Yeah. Now, ironically, I look older than most of the range masters, except for like maybe 2. So yeah, there's that. But that's it for me, buddy. What have you been up to? You've been busy with some 3-gun stuff, I see.
All sorts of stuff. Yeah. Okay. So over the weekend.
Oh, question. Yeah. How's your 180B?
I don't have one.
Oh,
yet.
That's right. It's not. Sorry. So, sorry. Carry on.
I did shoot one on the weekend.
You did?
Oh yeah. There was one of the guys from. He's not from Wolverine Supplies. He's just he just wears the jersey. I kept bugging him over the weekend that he was working at Wolverine, but super nice guy. He had a 180B out there, and they were light. They're really light. They're right at that 7-pound mark, and I'm super excited to get mine now after handling and shooting that one. Looked really good.
Well, that's good. That's encouraging to hear that it's you didn't see it for the first time.
No. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, yeah, this is like I'm getting value at $1,000. This is some good value here. But that was at the BC Redneck 3-Gun Challenge in Prince George. We went down Friday morning, and that's an 8-hour. That's a long drive out there. I went with some of the guys from my club, including a listener, Chad. It was a really cool event. They had 9 stages over 2 days. It wasn't like a super rushed schedule or anything like that. I had a really good start on my Saturday morning. I got 5th overall on my first stage and 2nd overall on my second stage, and 2nd overall with like fractions of a second between me and first.
Nice. But quick question.
Yeah.
9 stages over 2 days. Like we've done 7 stages 8 stages in one day, and it's a long day. We start too late and we go too late. And would 5 stages a day, do you think, be not
five
enough?
stages the first day. Yeah.
5 and 5? Make it a 10-day, 2-day.
That'd be reasonable. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be reasonable. I think we could have we could easily done 10 stages. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I mean the timing was fine. It's like I don't see anything wrong with like having a more relaxed shoot where you've got some time in between stages and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, I shot with a group from Saskatchewan. Really great guys, but really funny. And like Wes Stevens was there. Adam, who's a really great shot. Wes did excellent. He got a stage DQ on one of the stages, which
That's why I asked. I knew that.
I know you wanted to go there. This is a rhetorical question, if you will.
Absolutely.
Are you gonna go button on this, or are you just gonna that's just gonna get a pass?
About the fact that it was a stage DQ and not a match DQ?
Yeah.
Well, that's at the prerogative of the organizers. You're shooting outlaw matches. Do what you want. So would I do it? No. But it's their match, man. Run it the way you see fit.
Yeah. Actually, it was really good being on their squad. There were like 2 squads there that had like amazing shooters in them, and that this was one of them. So Wes is a great shooter, Adam's a great shooter, and seeing both those guys shoot really showed me where I need to like pick up my game. I took 10th overall because after those first 2 stages, I kind of didn't do all that great. I did really well in the long range. Like my rifle, it's nothing I have to do on it. As long as the thing runs, I can shoot my rifle competitively with like great shooters in Canada
with factory ammo.
With factory ammo, yeah,
55 grain.
Yeah.
At what distance?
We shot out to 300.
300,
which is not. That's not far. That's not far.
It's not far. It's far. I'm not a fan of a stage where the arrow has to tell you whether or not you've hit. You literally stopped in the video and turned around and spoke to the arrow. That blows my mind. Like, how much time is lost by you having to confirm if you hit or not?
No, I knew I hit. I just wanted to stop and say I hit, right, and that it wasn't it wasn't a question.
Yeah, I don't like a stage. I understand. Like, just.
Yeah. One of the things that we've got at Chaz is those flasher things, and those are amazing for those long ranges. Like at 100 and 200, you can hear it. At 3, 4, it's getting dicey on whether you hear it or not.
So why do we go to that distance then? Why do we build stages that have shots so long that it takes 3 men and a baby to confirm the hit?
Or a flasher, or an electronic flasher. Because what are you trying to test with a rifle in a competition? A rifle should be man accurate out to like 500 meters. You should be able to shoot your rifle out to 500 meters. So like the fact that we've got all these rifle stages where you're hosing stuff at like 2 meters, it's like, what's the point of that?
Okay, but you need to come up with a really consistent way to ensure that each competitor receives confirmation in the same way every time. Otherwise, it's not fair from one competitor to the next.
Sure. Yeah. That's fair.
So it sounds like I have to invent something.
No, you don't. Just use the electronic flashers, the little LED guys, the T1000s that MagnetoSpeed has. Those work awesome.
So I hit the target, it flashes.
Yep.
And then I'm assuming the arrow's seen it, and I move on.
And you see it, yeah. You don't even need to. You don't even need to yell hit if you don't want to, right? That's a style choice now. Moving on. Let's see here. I got a list of things I want to do better. One is committing my stage plan to memory. That stage that I got second on was one where you didn't have to commit it to memory. It was basically an accuracy and speed test for your shotgun and rifle, and I passed. My accuracy and speed on my shotgun and rifle are fine. Where I didn't do so well on were the stages where you could shoot some targets from multiple positions. I would double hit some of the targets, and I missed 2 over the entire match, which is too many. Having a fail to engage on a couple targets is enough to really ruin your.
That'll ruin you. Yep.
So that's one thing that I want to work on is memorizing my stage plan, visualizing it better, and committing it to memory. I have to replace my AR trigger again. I had, I don't know if you saw it in that video there, Trevor, but on a couple of them, you saw me racking the AR when it didn't really need to be racked. And that's because that hammer was following the bolt, and I got a dead trigger when I pulled it. So
dang, no, I did not see that.
Yeah, so I need to figure out what's going on there or replace it again, which that's unfortunate because the stages I ran it, and I ran my gun, it was amazing. I was like, it ran just fine. The accuracy is good, and the speed's really good with that trigger as well because it's got a short reset. And a lot of 3-gun, you're double tapping close targets with rifle and then shooting farther stuff, right? So
controlled pairs.
Controlled pairs, yeah. No, they're not controlled pairs when they're like 3 meters away. You pull it up and you see some brown in the scope. And
slap, slap, slap. Now,
slap the heck out of that thing.
All right, what are you going? Do you have one picked out?
I do not have one picked out. I heard the hyper. I got to try a Hyperfire. That was good. The Kevin trigger from Timney it looks really good as well.
What about the guys?
No,
okay.
I want a cassette style trigger.
Oh yeah,
and I will not get a componentized trigger.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. This one here. This is in my Stag rifle or my STI rifle.
Mm-hmm.
That's at JP Industries, and I've had 2 guys use. It's nicer than both of them, but it's what did you call it? Componentized.
Yep.
Okay.
Or cassette, where it's like all one unit, right?
You're making upwards.
I might be making upwards. Yeah, I do that. Yeah. Okay. I'm an internet expert. I make up my own words.
Right. You got a blog. So it's legit.
That word is what they're called now.
Okay. All right, cool.
FYI. Okay, yeah, anyways, I got to replace that trigger. My 9mm on my Glock, I need to seat my bullets in a little bit further. I had a couple that were a little bit too long, and they didn't go into battery. And rather than looking at it and popping it into battery, I did the caveman thing and tap racked it every time and gave myself a double feed. Twice or 3 times. Yep. Double feeds are hard to fix on the clock.
It's almost like we taught you how to do this in a class recently.
Failure to go into battery?
Double feed.
Yeah. Once you're into a double feed, like, good God, that's terrible. Like, I'd rather avoid getting into the double feed in the first place. I could have, if I would have. The other thing I've practiced and I can do is you tilt the gun up, and if you see the barrel isn't locked in with the slide, you slap the back of the gun and go right.
Mm-hmm.
Bad part about that is maybe it was a squib and you just slap that thing in and now you're going to pull a trigger on a squib, but nah.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah. So I'm going to load some of my 9mm a little bit shorter. I'm going to have to do that, tomorrow night, because I got a match on Saturday and I have, like, all the ammo I have is a little bit too long. So I need to push those guys in a little bit further.
Now be careful when you do that, because reducing the internal volume capacity in the case, it means you got the same amount of powder burning, but less room for that powder to create gas and your pressure spike. I did this with some, and 40 is a bad one to do it with. My 40 ammo was too long, and I shortened it, and I shortened it again, and my power factor jumped up to like 200 when it was supposed to only be 170.
I'm using like a pretty powder puff load with tight groups, so it's the pressure shouldn't be too high with it, but
okay,
I don't know. And I was seeing them a little bit long. Just I don't know.
As long as you're nowhere near max and stuff, you should be all right. No. I mean, I wasn't either, but 40 is a high pressure load anyway.
Yeah.
So cool.
One of the other things I need to work at is just not getting flustered at my equipment problems. There's a couple of times where those aforementioned things happen. Like my AR would, I'd have to rack it, or my 9mm, getting a double feed. And I didn't try to go faster, but I did get flustered and frustrated. And that hurt me with some guys when you can see it midway through a stage, something small goes wrong, and all of a sudden they get this F it attitude. And I didn't like get a full blown case of that, but I got a little case of that, and I could see it afterwards. I'm like, oh man, I can't do that. Like,
Yeah,
I'm shooting all. This is not just the battle. This is the whole war. I gotta win the match, not the like just lose a stage, right?
yeah. I mean, when you go into when the arse falls right out of her, and you just say kind of F it and keep going, out of control and loose and stuff. You never give up till the match is done, because the other guy ahead of you could be struggling even worse. You don't know. You can't control him. You can only control yourself, and you can make or break yourself in that moment. When that happens, all right, if I say focus on the process, what does that mean to you?
Which part of the process? Like your shooting process, your stage process, your
Any of it, right? So what happens when you focus on the process is you reset your brain. You consciously make your mind think about the process. All of a sudden it's like, okay, I need to be smooth here, not go full Mongo. I need to look inside the mag well when I do my next mag change. I need to make sure that I see my front sight settle squeeze, as Andrew would say. Put something in your conscious mind that has to deal with the process, and it puts you back in the game, because you're not thinking about the screw up that you just had and how you all of a sudden have to try even harder. It grounds you and takes you back to basics. If you want to improve on this, get your hands on the book With Winning in Mind. If you haven't read it yet, you should, and then we can discuss it at length off of the air so that the listeners don't kill themselves. And it will definitely help you deal with those situations. It will help you recognize when they're happening, and you will automatically kick into a better recovery plan that involves you just resetting your brain by focusing on process, not outcome, not the accident that's happening, and carry on with your match.
Yep. So I can fix that. I'm gonna work on that. Maybe read that, or maybe I'll get the audio. Is there an audiobook?
Absolutely.
There must be an audiobook.
Absolutely. Yeah. And after you get the book With Winning in Mind, then you want to get Building the Triad. And the Triad is where you talk about your conscious mind, your self-image, and what's the third one? I can't remember. It doesn't matter.
Is that the Live, Love, Life book? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's not that at all. No. What else have you done?
Okay, so back to the BC
Three
thing
gun?
there. Yeah. Well, it's all 3-gun all the time. I need to work on my pistol more.
With one gun that pissed me off recently.
Yeah. It's coming. It's coming.
Come to that? All right, I'll wait for it. I can't wait. I'm so happy for you.
I need to work on my pistol. It was definitely the slowest part. Like I was mentioning, the shotgun rifle. I'm right up there. Those are like definitely top 10 worthy at a national match.
Let me back you up.
Yeah.
To say I need to work on my pistol is like a child saying, when they have a bow and arrow in their hand, I need to shoot a bullseye. We all need to work on our pistol, Adriel.
Okay. You can see the show notes, right? I got some other stuff just on pistol, like speed getting into out of positions, target transitions is another thing I need to work on. I could see other people. I could shoot a target fast. I can't transition as smoothly as some other people. I watched some of Wes's videos, for example, and one interesting thing from his video was the smoothness in his target transitions and the speed that he got back on target. And I looked at mine, and it's like, oh no, it's nowhere close.
Stop and go.
And even my choice of which targets I engaged was incorrect as well. So that was definitely where I could have improved. I could focus a little bit more on accuracy and reduce some of my makeup shots. That'll save me a little bit of time, but more of the time was definitely in speed and getting in and out of positions, shooting in and out of positions, and target transitions.
So target transitions, we discussed that. Look at the target and the gun will follow. Target order. The order in which you engage targets. The target you come in on, the target you leave on. Huge.
Oh, yeah.
Huge. You need to talk to some experienced shooters when they're doing their walkthrough and flat out ask them, which target are you coming in on, which target are you leaving on, and there's ways where you can shoot an array in a logical order with the recoil of the gun. Like, you know, a guy who comes up to an array and says, okay, that's 4 rounds or that's 8 rounds, and then I'm going to reload and move over here. Okay, but 8 rounds in what order? Which target are you coming in on? Which target are you leaving on? It's not just enough anymore to remember where you're going to do your mag change. It's knowing which target makes the most sense to engage first and which target to engage last as you're leaving the shooting area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I saw that. I definitely saw that with some of the competitors. Like, that's the nice thing about being on a squad with some really good shooters. You can see that and be like, "Oh, that's the order I should have used." If I see this kind of thing again, I'm going to do it that way because, like, it's clearly better, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Not for me, but bad levers definitely can be hazardous to your match. I don't know if you've seen this at your club, but definitely don't use a bad lever if it doesn't poke out the right side of your trigger, so you can just do a clean sweep on it. And don't use one if you're unfamiliar with ARs. We had a couple shooters get DQ'd with bad levers, and it's a crappy way to end your match.
Yeah, Muffin day one of two separate matches once. He was like 6 rounds in first stage, and when he went to do his mag change, he hit the bad lever and kept going to the trigger, launched around over the berm. Snuffleupagus, same thing in the maze, did the mag change, hit the bad lever, kept going to the trigger, popped one into the berm. Yeah. You know what I like my bad lever for most of all? Locking the gun open.
Locking the bolt gun. Yeah, locking the bolt open is really nice because you can do it.
If I'm putting a mag in the gun, my thumb is right there, right where Eugene Stoner designed it to be. So, you know, it's like when a guy puts a mag in a gun, his thumb stops right there. Maybe we should put a control right there. Wouldn't that make logical sense?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, at a 3-gun match, you're like, if you're doing what you should be doing, you're not running it to bolt lock anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, I thought I'd put that PSA out there. While I'm at it, PSA, if you're going to run a Shadow 1 or a Shadow 2, make sure your holster is tightened right the heck down, because like those two things, shadows jumping out of holsters and bad lever ADs, are responsible for like 80% of our
They're DQs. Destroying our sport.
They're destroying some people's enjoyment of our sport, definitely. Yeah. All in all, like the BC match was super fun. A lot of shooting, a lot of really talented shooters out there. And I think what I want to do is, I don't know about this yet, but Phoenix, there's an indoor range here in Edmonton that runs IPSC like weekly, like mini matches kind of thing. I might do that because that would really sharpen my stage breakdown skills and my pistol skills.
Absolutely, Adriel, get after it. I was just going to say, like, I know you shoot a lot of 3-gun, but if you have time, make time for IPSC, because it's going to sharpen up your pistol game and it's going to sharpen up your stage breakdown and how to plan a stage better. And those finer points, like if I stay here, I can take this one, and eliminate a whole position. And on this particular array, it makes more sense to come in on this one, leave on that one.
Totally. Yeah, that's all. And shooting on the move, reloading on the move, keeping safe on your 90, breaking down stages. Like, it's all like, that's all strengths of IPSC. And I think I might start shooting that just to.
I was going to say, check out my Instagram videos from SummerSlam. But then I remembered, no, Alex's videos, man. Check out Alex Burdett's videos on his Instagram. That's amazing to watch. Mm-hmm. You got to be always shooting, moving and shooting, and you flow over the stage like water. Start, stop is death. Always be moving.
Yeah. So after a full 2 days of 3-gun last weekend, I have a full 2 more days of 3-gun this weekend. This will be at Chaz, though. On Wednesday, which is yesterday, I shot Maple Seed at Chaz. So Kelly and the crew all came out Tuesday night and stayed over at my place, and we went to Chaz Wednesday to shoot the Maple Seed. There's a bunch of Chaz execs that shot it, and they want to bring more Maple Seed to Alberta and to the range. I brought my son, my oldest. He learned a ton. It was great for him. The Marlin 795, the length of pull's too long for him. I found there's a stock called an HT60, which is a plastic stock with an adjustable air style rear stock on it. So I might buy one of those because then it would allow some movement back and forth and some expandability, and I could use it with both my boys, right?
Mm-hmm. I like it. Good idea.
Yep. I've got some trigger parts on the way from M Carbo. So the 795's trigger is not very good. It's kind of pretty heavy.
Now, I don't know if M Carbos improve the quality of that, but Matthews put at least one, maybe two M Carbos in 795s and ended up getting weak primer strikes.
I'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I use M Carbo in my 597. Swear by it.
Yeah, I'll find out in mine. I mean, I'm looking for something that's going to last a long time and last thousands around.
Mm-hmm.
I did pass my MQT. I shot it with my Norinco NS522, which is that bolt action 5-round mag thing.
So here's where I would normally smash the go button. I mean, smash it, right? We talk about all the time about how people don't read the Maple Seed emails. They don't watch the Maple Seed videos that are there to help you prepare for this thing. Kelly's on the show every week talking about Maple Seed. Matthew and I talked about our Maple Seed experience. One of the things we keep harping on is the importance of a semi-auto so that you don't have to constantly readjust your natural point of aim. You're shooting under time pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So not only do you have to get the shots off in some uncomfortable, awkward positions for some people, you have to do it without losing your natural point of aim. If you lose your natural point of aim, you're going to lose your accuracy. You have to reacquire your natural point of aim. All this takes time. So to shoot this with a bolt action rifle, you're literally shooting yourself in the foot. Like, why would you? They're slow. They're awkward. You have to reacquire your natural point of aim. You're going to run out of time. These are all the things.
Bump that you get from them isn't worth it either because it's like you're at 25 meters, right?
Right. I mean, you're right. The accuracy bump is negligible for this kind of shooting.
I would have shot it with my Marlin 795, but the thought was I'll give that to Carson so he can run it rather than
right. You want, as a good father, you want your son to have an enjoyable experience. I get all that. And then on top of everything else, you did it with a Norinco bolt action. Now, I know this rifle. I've fired this rifle. I've seen this rifle fired on paper, shoot amazing groups. And I've seen you, while I'm laying prone in the dirt, shooting gophers at 100. I've seen you pick them off at 100, just offhand, freestyle.
Well, Matthew was using that thing a couple of years ago and just devastating them. Yeah.
So it's like a cheap Norinco clone, but it's one of the most accurate, if not the most accurate, bolt action 22 I've ever seen. But I was still going to give you a hard time. I was like, why would you do this to yourself? And then I saw your scores. And I've never been the same since.
Well, to be fair, this is the second. Okay, I shot a Maple Seed 3 weeks ago.
Well, you shot it. No, you shot an MQT at the charity shoot last year.
Correct, but that wasn't like a full Maple Seed day. That was the MQT.
You shot an MQT, right? And then you shot a full Maple Seed in New Brunswick a couple of weeks ago at the charity shoot, yes. And what was your high score that time? You didn't do as well.
No, 237. No, not 237.
Now, is mine a 37 or 39? Stand by. I think it's a 9. Hold on.
Well, while you're grabbing that, I can let the listeners know I shot a 236. Now, a 210's rifleman, right? I shot a 236, a 237, and a 243. That's out of a possible 250 points. So,
nope.
With the 243, it's 7 points down total.
Yeah, my best is a 237. So you went and laid down a 243.
Yeah,
with a Chinese bolt action rifle.
Yeah, the real key there was prone, like clearing that prone stage completely.
Always is. You got 5 minutes. Yeah. If you take it, yeah, you could do that stage with a bolt action in 5 minutes. I still hate you. Like like a spider bite, maybe a bad sunburn, a sprain, not a broken bone or anything. Like maybe you could drop your motorcycle. That'd be okay.
Mm-hmm. No, once. So I shot my first one and I hit 237 on it. I'm like, oh, I got this.
Oh yeah, your confidence must have just went right through the roof.
Oh, I'm like, I don't look it, but I'm super competitive about this kind of stuff. So it burned me the last MQT I shot, where I just shot the 3 of them and I couldn't get into that 237 mark. So with this one, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna beat Trevor. They're like, what do you want to get out of it today? It's like, I got a goal. I got something I got to do.
I got some unfinished business I need to take care of. Somebody needs to be taken down a peg. Well,
it was a rush. So like running a bolt, I'm pretty fast on a bolt action rifle. I'm a fast shooter. I shoot 3-gun and my long range, my rifle shooting is very good. But it was a rush. Going from standing to sitting and shooting from that position, I would have like 2 or 3 seconds left. I would fire my last shot, and this is really rushing. Fire my last shot, and they'd be like, ceasefire. And I'm like, cool, I made it. Because if you don't fire that last shot, it's like, oh, there goes 5 points, right? So that was tight. Really great though. Like my son took a ton out of it. Kelly spent like basically like her whole day with my son, making sure they had a great time and teaching him the fundamentals and getting him going. And I really appreciate it because he learned a ton and he was so super pumped about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. While Rick and Kelly and Greg were at my place, they also wrote me into. I kind of wanted to get into it too, but they wrote me into the getting into the instructor program for Maple Seeds. So I'll do what I can to get that program out and get more, I guess, local MQTs going, local Maple Seeds going here in Alberta. Yeah, because I think it's a good program. I think it, like, volume wise, it trains a ton of people, and I think that part is really important, just in getting more riflemen and more people into shooting properly. It's like I was talking with them about like the ease of hitting riflemen, and it's like, and it's not easy, right? So like, I don't know. I've been shooting since I was like 5 though, so it was like, how come more people can't shoot a rifleman? And it's just because, like, we need to get those skills out there and need to get people more proficient, right? So I think yeah, that is as a mission is fantastic. It aligns with what I want to do in terms of getting more support for the sport. And while I'm into 3-gun more, I think getting more people Maple Seed qualified now will help my sport in the long run. Rising tide raises all ships, kind of thing.
You got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. Anyways, that's been my week. I've got more 3-gun stuff here coming up. I got a meeting tonight and then 2 days worth of matches this weekend. So should be lots of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. Why don't we get into upcoming events? Jason. Oh, sorry. You got something?
No, I said sure.
Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah.
All right. Jason Phillips got one here. Guys, trying to pre-plan for the MSCA Provincial here in Manitoba, September 15th, 16th weekend. They're going to have a great shoot. If you're planning to come or know anyone that wants to come, please have them reach out to me either directly via Manitoba Sporting Clays at mymts.net or via cell. Do we put the cell number here? Why not? He emailed it to us. 204-223-5647. Oh, I love that, 223. And I'll do whatever I can to help support or guide your decisions to make the weekend right for you.
And hey, now that cell phone number's out there, guys, I encourage you to use it irresponsibly.
Is that Jason's cell phone number, or is that someone, like, maybe he forwarded this email on?
Hold on, I'll tell you. I got Philip's number on my phone here.
Okay, good. Because that's
What's
not
the number. Does it end in 0363?
No.
Oh, that's not Philip's personal cell phone number. All right, fine.
We'll have to give that out on the air another day.
Oh, he's been too good to me. I can't do that, because the second I do that, it would be like my inbox would be flooded with clowns. His inbox would be flooded with probably Richard picks from all our listeners.
Yep. Richard picks. All right, 3-gun events. Aforementioned. Hey, yeah, we got 2 days of shooting at Chaz. We're going to do a 3-gun match on the August the 11th, and then we're going to have a 2-gun historical shoot on the 12th. That'll be bringing out your old guns, or don't just bring out a rifle, any old rifle and pistol.
I'm actually so looking forward to doing one of those, like because I never shoot my milsurps, so it would be a perfect excuse. And
that's what I want. I want an excuse to shoot my milsurps, right?
Yep. One of the guys at Filthy's Range is talking about doing one this fall. And our 3-gun is coming
Red
up.
October. Do a Red October. Yeah.
I like it. Our 3-gun is actually being moved to September 1st. So it's going to be now it's September 1st, 3-gun. Mm-hmm. Then it's a class with Alex Burdett from X Metal for the 8th and the 9th. The following weekend's the provincial. And then I got nothing until the Nova Scotia provincial and the Nova Scotia 3-gun. So when October rolls around, we should have the range packed up and I could play with my milsurps.
Ooh, cool. Yep. Let's see. Lakeland 3-gun is having a match on August 18th. Northwest 3-gun's having a match on the 25th. Wapadee's 3-gun championship is August 25th and 26th. This is going to be their 2-day non-points event.
I'm going to start doing this with IPSC matches,
Announcing?
Yeah. Like every IPSC match in the country. No, you should just direct people to a website that says, hey,
you're looking for 3-gun? 3gun.ca then. Yeah. You could just say that.
You could say that because they're all in one place. Are you looking for a 3-gun match? Well, we got a website for you.
Hey, are all the IPSC matches on one website?
Yes, for each province.
So no.
Well, I mean, if I want to know if there's a match in Quebec, I go to IPSC Quebec. If I want to know if there's a match in Alberta, I go to IPSC Alberta.
Yeah. Someone should make a website that just combines them all. Wouldn't that be interesting? All right. Maple Seed, they still have some events coming up in Regina, Saskatoon, Edmonton. They just finished. Lethbridge, Tabor, and Edson next week. Some of these might have already passed. Let's move on. New gun stuff. SLRs are shipping, right?
You don't say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, limited numbers, but they are going out there. Yep. Some people are getting anodized, and some people, I think they're talking about like not anodizing anymore and going to Cerakoting just because they've had so many problems with their anodizers. I know yours is fine.
No, I don't think. I think they're just going to offer anodizing as an option. I haven't. How many problems have you heard about with anodizing?
I've seen problems with anodizing in the Magwell, like just finish problems. It wouldn't affect performance. And if you like to be fair, if I got one of these things, I don't know if I'd really care because I mangle all my guns with Dremels and whatnot anyways. Mm-hmm. But if you were like really picky and you got one of the ones with anodizing problems, you might not want it with that stuff on it.
You could send it back and he'd just toss it in the polisher and then anodize again too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is not a functional problem or anything, right?
But I mean, anodizing is obviously done third party, so that sucks that he's then going to get flack for somebody else who's not anodizing well.
Yeah, but
I can't believe the haters out there about this project. The CGN thread. There are people in the CGN Maccabee Defense thread whose only purpose in life is to get on there and poop on the project. I get it. You don't want one. Yeah. Go away. Mm-hmm. That's CGN, though, in general.
Yeah, exactly. So those are coming out. The WK 180s are coming out as well.
The SLRs are out. The WKs are coming out.
No, they're like they've got 100 of them out already.
What, the WKs?
Oh yeah. I held one on the weekend. You heard that, right? Like they're getting shipped out to people.
He had a jersey. I thought he was a shooter for them or something.
He's a shooter for them, but like that's his WK 180. So people are getting them. They're shipping out. There's some CGN threads of end users using them.
Oh, cool. All right, cool.
Yeah, they're going out.
So where's yours?
Boy, that's the second time you asked. Just trying to throw salt in the wound here.
You're just so confident that you would have yours before I got my SLR.
Oh, so confident.
So confident.
And I failed. Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah.
But you are now sometimes. The Canadian Maple Seed high score record holder.
I don't know about that.
I know about that. There's no other 243 in Canada.
Are you sure? Is there like a central place to check?
Yeah, called Kelly.
Hmm.
There's a. Oh wait, or is there a 247? There might be a 247.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Or
there's going to
7
be some
points
higher
off and you're
scores.
tied. Anyway, we need to find out because if you have the highest score in Canada, I'm going to brag about it. If you're not, I'd be like, I know a guy. I'll
It's
live
pretty good with a
vicariously.
22.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's look at some new guns here. So the Blue Line Solutions is actually bringing in the GSG Firefly 22. This is the SIG looking one that's made by GSG. It's got like a little threaded barrel at the end. They're bringing them in a couple of different colors. They look kind of
I
cool.
don't even know if you're talking about a rifle or a handgun at this point.
Handgun. It's a handgun. It's a
Okay.
22 handgun GSG. It looks like a SIG. It's $420 MSRP.
Oh, so it's like the SIG Mosquito, but made by GSG.
I'm pretty sure the SIG Mosquito was made by GSG before.
Was
GSG's
it?
always been making them. Yeah.
Yeah, don't like it.
Yeah. One of the guys at my 3-gun club uses one, like not for 3-gun, and has all sorts of great stuff to say about it. Anyways, FN North Silva is bringing in the FN 509 Tactical. This one has really tall sights and it's red dot ready, so those are kind of neat. If you like FN, let's see.
Which I do. And is it striker fired? It's the 509, right?
Yeah, so
I see
like
the trigger safety there. So red dot installed with co-witness sights, threaded barrel. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. What else we got here? Magpul's coming out with eyewear, like safety glasses. Yep. They're, I don't know, they look like regular safety glasses. I don't know, maybe they're going to be really good for the price. That's kind of what Magpul's known for, is making stuff that's generally pretty good quality products for the price. So curious to see what they do with that. Blue Line's also bringing in the ISSC Raptor pistol. These look more like it's escaped me.
Like kind of look like a Canic. Was that a decocker on the side? What is that? It's got a hammer.
No, it'll be a safety. It looks like a Steyr MA1. That's what that looks like.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, again, kind of neat if that's what floats your boat.
It does not.
Does not. Okay. Yeah, if you want to pick that next one there, since you got it open.
The Smith & Wesson Sport 2?
Yes, they're on sale.
They're $660. Wowzers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, the AR market has crashed. So what I like about this gun, well, there was one at the range just yesterday. It comes with a flat top upper, but the front is like M4ish, right? It's got that M4 style handguard and an A2 front sight. But the barrel profile, man, it's not a government profile. It's a I don't want to call it a bull barrel because it's not a heavy profile barrel, but it's not a government profile. It's the same width, diameter the whole way through.
Yeah, I like it when they do that.
Cool. Me too.
The government profile where it's like, we're going to make the gas block this big and then we'll make it thin in the middle so we can put a grenade launcher on there. Like, no civilian needs that stuff. Just keep it consistent and give us a stiffer barrel.
Yeah, if I'm building some kind of clone of a military gun, right, and I want it to look the same, sure. But otherwise, for a sporting rifle, just give me a consistent profile.
Yep. The next one here, CTC Supplies, has the Terran Tactical John Wick Combat Master Glock 34. $1,300.
Not a firearm for everyone. No, I guess not. I love this gun. I would love it more with the finger grooves removed. They got some grip reduction going on there, some nice stippling. Terran Tactical Slide. That's a nice gun. But
just everything. Just everything you can do to a Glock and make it still look like sleek.
Yep. Yeah. It's based on a 34 length slide. It's cool, man. I don't know if it's $3,000 cool.
I mean, this is like when they say not a firearm for everyone, this is for people who want like a super cool Glock and they have like a lot of cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is fair. Yeah. I mean, there's pistols out there like that. I mean, if you've been in a lot of gun shops, they've got a couple of like handguns that are in the $5,000 to $10,000 range. And when they're like engraved and whatever, sure, when they're like a SIG that's engraved and got a bunch of crazy gold on it and that kind of thing, that's for a certain kind of buyer, not for everyone, right?
Yeah, there's a $9,000 SIG at the Calgary Shooting Center. Some Swiss commemorative whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good example. Let's see here. Tenda's got some Barnall. So this stuff like was hard to find, not being imported, whatever. I guess they got some. 762 by 39 lead core, non-corrosive, new production. 1,000 for $399.
That's, I mean, it's lead core and it's non-corrosive, so you're paying more for it. I mean, we've gotten 1,200, 1,400 rounds of the corrosive stuff for as low as $250 for a while.
Right now, your 1,400 round cases are going for right around $350 to $399 for the corrosive stuff.
Yeah,
this is a pretty good deal.
This is a good deal because it's non-corrosive and lead
and new production.
Yeah. My SKSs need this in their life. That's pretty good, man.
Yeah, I got those. Spectre Ballistics finished their 1022 chassis. It's aluminum. It uses AR style buttstocks. It's got M-LOK on the front. I don't know. Is there much to say about it other than that? It's 1022 chassis.
Yep, but it's cool, man. It's a little MDT LSS-esque, almost skeletonized, if you will. It's aluminum, but it's classy. It doesn't make it look like a wannabe AR-15, right? It's got nice lines. Now, the grip that they chose to use for this photo shoot looks awkward and bulky, and it's hanging off the back of the receiver, and it doesn't
kind of ugly.
Doesn't go flush against the trigger guard. So as long as you got options for AR grips that fit better than that thing, you're all set. And it also needs a Matador magazine release on there. But besides that,
what about a folder?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that you don't need. There's no buffer in there. You don't need that buffer tube. You could just like put a folder on there and, little compact 1022.
Yep. This would be great. It's nice and stiff. Weight wise, it doesn't look like there's enough there to make it heavy. Might be a cool project for a maple seed gun.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Now, Maple Seed had like a collapsible stock AR thing that my boy ended up using because it gave the correct length of pull for him. This would do it as well, and this is aluminum, whereas that other one was a plastic stock, right? I think with this one, they have some way of anchoring the action so that it stiffens it as well. It free floats the barrel. Yeah, and they've definitely got some different anchor points in there to stiffen the whole setup. So you might get better accuracy with one of these things. I bet if I had a 1022, they'd let me borrow one and I could test it.
You want me to send you a 1022?
Do you got one? That's like on the shelf there?
I have 3.
Do you have one that's like stock? More or less.
I have one that's like bone stock. It was built 1984. Nothing's ever been touched. It's old school. You actually have to depress the magazine release up inside the receiver. It doesn't have that little plastic tab sticking out the bottom. And then I've got one that's too old school. Yeah, too old school. Yeah. I've got the one with the camo stock and the Cerakoted barrel and receiver.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe that would be the right thing to do.
Yeah. Well, you let me know.
All right. Why don't we move on to the main topic?
Yes.
And thanks again to Richard for coming on on such short notice and letting us know how that went.
Yeah, that was great. Call him up. Richard, yes, what did I do now? Nothing. We just thought maybe with absolutely no notice whatsoever, you could drop everything you're doing and come on Slamfire. Because that's how we do. That's how we do.
Yes, make sure your audio's good.
Yeah.
And he delivered.
Yeah, exactly. Do this right away and don't screw up your audio. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have YouTube open to check for listener feedback over there?
I did. Give me 2 seconds here.
Tell you what, I'll read the first email in, and you can then you can head over to the YouTube. We'll kind of like mix and match them, candy cane them, if you will. First off, listener feedback is sponsored by Highlander Tactical. Go to highlandertactical.com to check out their great supply of both outside and inside the waistband holsters today. Use promo code SLAMFIRE to check out and save 10% off your order. Our first email here is from Sean S. Oh, it's to Kelly, and she's not even here. Hopefully she's listening. Maybe Greg's got it on like YouTube or live or something
she's
like that.
She's at the Goldfish's funeral listening. That's what she's doing.
I
don't think she's listening.
Okay. It's just a goldfish funeral. I don't even think you have to wear orange. You have to wear orange. Dear Kelly, hopefully I'm still fresh enough in your memory that you remember me, but I was one of the 2 attendees at the August 6th Maple Seed at BTSA that earned a coveted rifleman patch during the feedback portion of the event. I'm sure you remembered some comments I made, entirely constructive, as I'm sure you know. But I left that day thinking to myself that those comments overshadowed how much I truly learned at the event. Using a loop sling is something I've never done since I began shooting a few years ago. And having the opportunity to learn and use this technique is something incredibly valuable that will be permanently part of my toolkit going forward as a shooter and a prospective hunter. The way you, Rick, and your troop of fantastic associates taught the course will allow me to pass on such knowledge to anyone I meet who is less experienced or curious about how to improve their abilities. I fully endorse Maple Seed and look forward to following your success in the future. As for the rest of the gang on the podcast, keep up the great work. I enjoy listening and keeping up with what's new and important in the Canadian shooting community, and hope one day to see you guys at an action rifle match in Abbotsford one of these days. Sincerely, Sean S. I heard that comment echoed the one about the loop sling. One of the guys who shoots service rifle, he's like, oh man, like I've been doing this wrong the whole time, and now that you guys have finally shown me, like I'm gonna kick all kinds of butt. He was saying like, I've been having my loop sling like way too low on my arm, and after getting instruction on it, I mean it's such a crazy thing. It's like, okay, the hasty sling I get, we're gonna quickly use this, but the it's incredible what you can do with that sling when you take this little bit of material out of the H buckle, and instead of like using it to adjust the length of the sling, you put your arm through it. And all of a sudden it's like, boom, super solid.
I like that so much that next time I go to a Maple Seed, I'm bringing 2. Because you have to change the length when you change. Yeah, I'm just gonna set one up for sitting and kneeling, and set one up for prone.
When I was at the Maple Seed in New Brunswick, I brought my own sling, and I had Kelly's sling, so that's what I did. I used his sling and used mine for the job. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you got the YouTube listener feedback?
Yeah, there's no questions. Somebody says I've got a booger in my nose, and that's about it. There's
good feedback. Good feedback. Yeah.
Yep. There's really nothing there. Wes says bad levers work for me. 25 rounds and flawless function. So, yeah. All right. What about the next email then?
Cool. I can read that one.
All right.
From Ernie S. No need for super fast. And this is in relation to the airgun talk that we're doing on the last show. I've got a Crosman Venom Nitro 22 cal that chronographs an average of 684 FPS and over 15 foot-pounds of energy. With I think wear 17 grain lead pellets, well below the advertised speed, but still easily punches holes through half-inch plywood at 30 yards.
Jeebus.
Knocks crows dead on the spot. Not recommending the rifle as there's much more accurate ones for a bit more money. I've yet to do a trigger job on mine or find ammo that it likes. Check out DL Airguns out of Langley, BC. Go to the website, and they got a large selection. You can spend thousands.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, that's what we needed. I just like I was thinking about it, like I just put this out to listeners. They probably know what kind of air rifles out there that would be great. So thank you very much for saying that in, Ernie. If you'd like to email the show, send your email over to slamfireradio@gmail.com. iTunes reviews, there are none over the last week. If you'd like to, please head over to iTunes or Podbean or Podcatcher or Stitcher or Stitchcatcher or whatever podcasting Podbeaner things you got, and give us a review over there. Usually, typically on these platforms, the podcasts that are the most highly reviewed are the ones that are easier to find and the ones that are featured more. So if you review our podcast, you'll be helping us show up to more people out there. Trevor, do you have any shout outs?
I do. To everyone who came to SummerSlam, all the shooters from all the different provinces who attended, and of course to the members of the Rescue Gun Club who helped pull this off. New guy Trevor Grenier just busted his ass all summer, and tremendous asset to the club. John Snuffleupagus, of course, he's always been there. McClatchy drove over and spent the week with me. Luke Giroux, Bang Switch Boutique Luke, he drove up from Moncton, couldn't even shoot the match, right? He was unable to shoot the match. He still was out of pocket, all his expenses. It's one thing to do all this work and get your match fee for free, but when you're not even shooting the match and you're so dedicated to your buddies and the club to help that you drive 3.5 hours to be here, you feed yourself, money on fuel, like just amazing. It's not even it may be a member of the club, but he lives 3.5 hours away. So he came up and worked chronograph with Mark Giroux. They did a fantastic job. There was no questions about the integrity of our chronograph whatsoever. My two range masters, Chris and Jimmy, Muffin, Smoke on the Water, Tracy from CCFR, she came down, brought her fiance, her daughter, her daughter's friend. Denis from DC Armory set up a booth. Alex from X Metal Targets, they were a major match sponsor. They set up a booth. Alain and the crew again for rebuilding the house stage. Tresca and Mark and Chris for finding that the venue for the buffet, they had bingos for 3 days in a row, didn't clean it. They were in there cleaning it till after midnight so that it would be ready for the banquet the next day. All those little things that happen behind the scenes that the shooters don't know about, that I find out about, they're what helps make this just a great, I'll say world-class event. Not quite, but close enough. Everyone who comes to SummerSlam has nothing but good. Well, I'd like to say that. I can't say that for sure. I'm sure some people get their panties in knot about one thing or another, but a lot of positive things said about SummerSlam. We appreciate you guys coming out and supporting our match. And I just want to thank everybody one more time. And to those of you that shot SummerSlam that are going to the Nationals, I'll see you in a few days.
Sweet. Let's see. I've got shoutouts for first one for Adam. So when my trigger started to malfunction there, this guy was the match winner, and he offered up his rifle for me to use for the stages afterwards. I checked with the MD to make sure it was all okay, and we're in the same category, so he said it was good to go. But like, this is his match rifle. He's going to win this match, and he let me use his rifle, which was very appreciated.
Well, it just goes to show that you're not a threat to him.
I got second to his first on the last match that we shot together, so maybe not after my first two stages. A little bit threatening. After that, not so much. Yeah, not so much. So cool. Yeah, not that threatening. No, he's a great shooter. You know what? He shot that match clean, no penalties, and that's difficult to do at a 3-gun match just because of the variation in all the stuff you do. So super clean shooter and fast as well. So yeah, that's all you need to do really to win like a national class 3-gun match in Canada is just don't get any penalties. And the other one is to the Maple Seed crew. Thank you guys for coming out to Alberta. I know it's a bit of a drive, making it all the way out here, and they're doing something by training all the people out here. And a big thanks out to Kelly who put a ton of time into training my boy at the match and making sure he had a great time at his first shooting course. Yeah, first shooting course. He had a great time. Next up, Patreon supporters. We have 90 of those Patreon supporters. I actually sent some t-shirts with Kelly because she's going to meet some people along the way. If you are a new Patreon supporter, you should be getting a patch in the mail, patch and sticker. And make sure you send your address in if you are a new patron. We also have special episodes that we put out about once a month. I think we're overdue for one of those as well. We should do one of those. If you want to sign up for Patreon, go to patreon.com/slamfireradio. Finally, please join one or more of our national firearms associations, such as the CCFR. Check us out on Gun Owners of Canada, and like us on Facebook. Good night, everyone.
Good night.